Come on, everybody. Let's go. Get ready for a summertime adventure from another Sommer-Time story. This is the story of The Ugly Princess, written and told by award-winning author Carl Sommer.
In a faraway land lived a princess named Isabella. Isabella, an only child, was greatly loved by her parents, the king and queen. She was a very happy child. Isabella loved school, and after school she had lots of fun playing with her friends. But one day, everything changed. After playing tag, Isabella happened to walk past two girls. She heard one of the girls say, "Did you notice how big Isabella's nose and ears are?" Isabella stopped. The other girl laughed and said, "They are sure funny looking." When Isabella heard what the girls had said, she rushed to her bathroom. What kind of girl was Isabella? Hi, John?
A very happy girl.
She was a very happy girl. And many boys and girls are born very happy. They got loving parents, which happen to be the king and queen in this story. And she was very happy. But then she hears something, and she becomes very unhappy. Watch what happens now. Now, this is very important, because it happens to a lot of boys and girls. She looked in the mirror and began to cry. It is true. Not only are my ears and nose big, but they are ugly. After crying for a long time, she washed her face and went outside. As the other children played, Isabella sat down and groaned over and over. Why do I have such an ugly nose and ears? What did Isabella do when she heard what those girls had said? All right, Juliet?
She ran home and started crying and said, "It's true."
Yes. She went home and she looked in the mirror. Oh, it's true. Now remember, it's only two girls. And she cries, it's true. Watch what those words do to Isabella and learn from that, okay? When Isabella came home, Mom asked, "Why are you so sad?" "I am fine," Isabella mumbled. "No, Isabella," said Mom in a sweet voice. "You are not fine. Something is wrong." "Why do I have such an ugly nose and ears?" Mom shook her head and said, "Your nose and ears are not ugly." "They are ugly," insisted Isabella. Mom gave Isabella a big hug and with tears in her eyes said, "Dad and I love you just as you are. You are our precious sweetheart." Then Mom put her loving hands on her face and said, "If you want to find true happiness, Isabella, focus on your inner beauty, not your outer beauty." "I know you both love me, but it does not change the way I look. All my friends make fun of my ugly nose and ears." What did Isabella's mom tell Isabella to do? Mercy?
To look at her inner beauty instead of her outer beauty.
Did you hear that? Look at your inner beauty, not on your outer beauty. That's the most important thing. What you are on the inside. And so many boys and girls, and particularly girls, it's always the way I look. How do I look? How do I look? You got to learn to accept yourself the way you were born. You know, I once had hair just like you boys did, all right? And all of a sudden it started to fall out, you know. And one by one they came in more, and finally now I'm bald-headed. But this is the way I am. I'm not going to be ashamed of the way the good Lord made me. This is the way I am. And so Isabella is focusing just on what those two girls said, my ears and my nose. and it's making her so unhappy, and the mom is trying to help her, but she's not listening. When the king heard what happened, he called Isabella. "What is this I hear about your nose and ears?" "All my friends made fun of my big, ugly nose and ears," complained Isabella. "How many friends really made fun of you?" "Two." "So it is 2 friends, not all your friends." How many friends made fun of her? Noah?
2.
2. And what did Isabella say? Andrew?
All of her friends.
All of her friends, but it was just 2. And you know what we often do? We exaggerate. And exaggerate, "Well, that'd be funny." No, it's only 2. You go to school, you got many in the classroom, you got the whole school, you maybe have 1,000 kids in a school, and some schools even bigger, some are smaller. But we always say, "Oh, it's everybody. No one loves me anymore. Anybody." No, your parents always love you. Now, parents love her very much, but she doesn't listen. She's just now a very, very unhappy girl just because of 2 girls said these words to her. How foolish it is. Then the king put his arms around Isabella and said, "If you always listen to what other people say, you will live a very unhappy life. You have 2 ears. Some things you hear should pass through your ears, and some things should go into your heart." Then he gave her a big hug and said, "Your mother and I love you just the way you are. That is something you should always keep in your heart." What did the king, her father, tell her to do? Okay, Emma?
He said, "Let some of the words go through your ears and some of them go to your heart."
He said, "You got 2 ears. Some things that you hear should go right through, and some things you hear should go down into your heart." And it's very wise advice. But she had 2 ears, and she put everything down here. "Oh, I'm ugly, I'm no good." And she's a very unhappy girl now. She once was a very happy girl. Now she's living a very miserable life because of 2 girls. But Isabella did not listen. She felt she was ugly, and nothing Dad or Mom or anyone else said would change her mind. She became a very miserable girl. Whenever children came to the palace, Isabella said, "I'm embarrassed by the way I look. I'm not playing with them." This went on for a long time. The king thought much about how he could help Isabella. Then one day he said, "Isabella, I would like you to try something." "Is it about my ugly nose and ears?" she asked. "No, it is not," said the king. "It's about how unhappy you have been. I want you to study people to find out what makes them happy. Can you do this for me?" "I will do that," said Isabella. The king gave her a big hug and kiss. Then he said, "I love you, Isabella." What did her father ask Isabella to do? All right, Olivia?
He told her to look and see what makes other people happy.
Yes. Her father tells her, "You just examine, look at other people, what makes them happy." And she says, "Okay, I'll do that." Now let's watch what happens to her. The next week, the king, queen, and Isabella went to a feast. After Isabella ate, she said to herself, "I'm going to look for someone who is very happy." Isabella looked around and found an old woman laughing in the middle of a happy group of children. "Oh my!" she exclaimed. "Look at her. Her nose and ears are much bigger than mine. How can she be so happy? I'm going to find out why." When Isabella came to the old woman, she asked, "May I ask you a question?" "Sure," said the old woman. "Let's go to that empty table." When they sat down, Isabella asked, "What makes you so happy?" "I was once a very sad girl. Boys and girls often made fun of my big nose and ears. One day my grandpa asked me, 'Why are you so sad?' I told him why. Then he took me for a walk and said, 'Listen to me very carefully. You cannot change the way you were born. So be wise and content with what you cannot change. Instead of always looking at yourself, aim to love others. If you do this, you'll find great happiness.' I listened to my grandpa, and from that day on, I always tried to love others. Now I am a very happy old lady with lots of friends." "Thank you so much," said Isabella. "Your words have been a great help to me." What does this old lady say she was once like? All right, Jocelyn?
She was once like Isabella and she was very sad.
Yeah, she was just like Isabella, once very sad, but then something happened. Who helped her? All right, Noah?
Her grandpa took her on a walk and he said, "Listen to me very carefully. Do not listen to what other people say. Aim for happiness." And then later she became a very happy old lady with lots of friends.
Yeah, very good. Did you listen to that? All right? And notice it was her grandpa. He was older. And the big thing, and listen to what I got to say. Listen to what I got to say. Many boys and girls, if they only would learn to listen. Nope. And Isabella's problem is because she wouldn't listen to her parents. A lot of boys and girls will listen to their parents, their grandparents, and they love you. They want to help you. But she didn't listen. But finally, she did listen to her dad now. And she examined, looking around. And there's that happy old lady. And that happy old lady had the same problem that she had. But her grandpa told her, don't let what other people say always go into, your words go into your heart. Let it go through your ears. And this old lady listened. And this, hey, that's right. Now watch what happens to Isabella. That night as Isabella lay in bed, she said, "That old woman is right. I cannot change the way I look, but I can change the way I live. My aim from now on will be to love others. But what can I do?" Suddenly she sat up and exclaimed, "I have an idea." The next day, Isabella went to her father and said, "I would like to do something special." "How can I help?" the king asked. "I would like to invite the children with special needs to come to the palace. I want to make them happy." The king was shocked. "That is wonderful," he exclaimed. "We will get whatever you need." Then Isabella gave her dad a big hug. When the day came, over 50 children with special needs and their parents came to the palace. They played all sorts of games, and Isabella played with them. During the party, Isabella hugged her father and said, "This is the happiest day of my life, seeing these children playing and having so much fun. It is true, loving others brings happiness." From that day on, Isabella continued to help others. She became a very happy young woman. What did Isabella do to help others? Mercy?
She gave a party for the special needs kids to make them happy.
Yes, she noticed she's focusing on other people. How can I make other people happy? And she found these children with needs, special needs. They couldn't walk, they're in wheelchairs, maybe they're missing a leg. I'm going to try to make them happy. And she ends up that day, what did she say at the end of the day? Okay, Andrew?
It is true that loving people brings happiness.
Loving others brings happiness. Try it. Start focusing on making other people happy. Try doing it with your parents. What can I do to make my dad happy? What can I do to make my mom happy? Here's a tough one. This is a tough one. You want a tough one? A very tough one? How many want a tough one? Let me see. You do want one? Watch. It's not going to be easy. All right, put your hands down. How can I make my brother or sister happy? Oh! All right, what can you do?
I can let them play dolls with me, let them use all my toys whenever they want, and throw them a special surprise party.
One day the king said, Isabella, you know that the one you marry will become the next king. How can we help you find the right man? How someone looks is unimportant to me, she said. I want to marry a wise and kind man. I have an idea about how to find such a man. Then Isabella whispered her idea to the king. Excellent, exclaimed the king. I would be glad to help. The next day the king ordered his 7 advisors. Search for the wisest and kindest young men in each of your districts. In 1 month, bring them to the palace. We want to honor them. Isabella hoped that among these 7 men, one would strike a spark in her heart. What kind of a person did Isabella want to marry? Kylie?
She wanted a kind and wise man.
But she said also something else. Very good.
She didn't want the looks.
She didn't go just for the looks. She wanted someone that was kind and had wisdom. She was looking in the heart. Now, this is for way back. You boys and girls are young, but you put this way back in your mind, because one day when you get older, you start to change, Boys will be looking at girls and girls will be looking at boys. And a lot of boys and girls live a very unhappy life because all they're interested in, looks, that's the most important. No! I'm married over 60 years. And the important thing is the heart. I live with that woman, 60 years, every single day. I see her. When I'm home, I come home, and she's still my sweetheart. All right? I'm happily married. Because the important thing was what was in her heart. And that's what she wants. She wants a kind and wise man. And you boys and girls too. Now, you put this way back, way deep down in your heart. Find out what kind of a person that is. Not just with some handsome men, because some of those handsome men, if you get married to one of them, you'll have a miserable life. And same with you boys, married, look, it's just for beautiful girls. Some of them, they make terrible wives. You want someone who's kind and wise. That's the important thing. The king's brother had an only child named Jezreel. Jezreel was jealous of Isabella. Jezreel often told the friends, if something happens to the king and Isabella, I'll be the next queen. When Jezreel found out about the 7 men, she told an artist, draw an ugly picture of Isabella with a very long nose and extra big ears. Jezreel came early to the celebration and placed the picture on Isabella's table. I hope this makes Isabella furious, she said. Jezreel is one who is jealous. She was in line to become what if something happened to Isabella? Jocelyn?
She would become a queen.
Become next queen if something would happen to Isabella. And now she's trying to get her to be mad again because she wants to become the next queen, you see. And look what happens to Isabella now, what she does. Just look, examine it, and learn a lesson from it. When Isabella sat down, Jezreel watched her unfold the paper. I hope the picture makes her real mad, Jezreel mumbled to herself. Isabella looked at the picture and then remembered what her father had said. You have 2 ears. Some things you hear should pass through your ears, and some things should go into your heart. Isabella smiled, tore up the pitcher, and said to the waiter, "Please throw it away." What did Isabella do now? Yes, Kylie?
She just ignored it and she threw it away.
Yeah, just ignored it now. She finally learned a lesson. She wasn't going to let opinion of one person ruin her. She just, well, okay. She listened and threw it away. Very wise thing to do. After the 7 men were honored, Isabella spoke with each of them. One of the men was Stephen. When she greeted him, a spark lit up in her heart. The same thing happened to Stephen. After talking a while, Stephen said, "May we meet again?" "I would be glad to see you again," said Isabella. "But first you need to meet my dad and mom." "I would be greatly honored to meet them," said Stephen. When Stephen came to the palace, the king said, "Tell me about yourself." "Thank you for inviting me," said Stephen. "My father died when I was 6 years old. My mother had to work hard to support my 2 younger sisters and me. After school, we had to work to help my mother." The queen asked Stephen, "What would you do if you were the king?" "If I had the great honor of being the next king, I would seek wisdom from others on how to make our people happy and successful." After listening to Stephen, the king and queen went to another room. "Did you notice that Stephen always spoke about others and not about himself?" the queen said. "I did," the king said. "He would be a great man both for Isabella and for our kingdom." Then the queen took Isabella aside and whispered, "We approve of Stephen." Isabella hugged her mother and father. Then she went to Stephen and said, "My parents approve of you. Let's visit one another for 1 year." "That would be great," said Stephen. "Let's also try to do a kind deed every day." "That's an excellent idea," exclaimed Isabella. What did Stephen say he would do when he was the next king? Okay, Olivia?
He would seek wisdom from others and see how to make other people happy and successful.
Right. He would seek wisdom, a very important thing, to seek wisdom from others, not just own wisdom. And shall I tell you a secret? My children's books, there's many of them I've written and have CDs and DVDs, they won 60 awards. You know why? Because I'm always asking people's opinion. How can I make this book better? What can I do? And they send it out to editors and they correct it. I'm always looking from counsel from other people. And that's what he was, and he wants to make other people happy and successful. And when the queen heard that, you know that? There's a man that's just looking at me. I want to help other people. He's a man who practices the golden rule. I said, he would make a good king. Now watch what happens. When they heard a poor man had died, leaving his wife with 4 children to care for themselves, Stephen and Isabella brought food to the family. Stephen proved to be the kindest man that Isabella had ever met, and her love for him grew more and more. Word spread everywhere that Isabella had chosen someone to marry, not for looks, but one who was wise and kind. Many parents told their children, "Did you see what Isabella did? She didn't pick someone just for looks, but someone who was wise and kind. If you want to have a happy life, do the same." What did many parents tell their children to do? Okay, Mercy?
To be like Isabella and to don't look towards the outer beauty.
And that's a very important thing to do, just like these parents say. Now, don't marry just for looks, because parents love you. And here's another very important piece of advice. The best person to help you, if that day comes, and you put this way back in your mind, Ask your parents, what do you think about this boy that I'm interested in? What do you think about this girl? Listen to them and not just go for looks. Because there's just so many people are so unhappily married because they just went for looks. They didn't listen to their parents. And so we want you to be happy. I do. And I speak of we, your parents, and a lot of people want you to be happy, but there's so many people are unhappily married. And so that's for way, way in the future, okay? But you put that back. Isabella listened, and notice what happens to Isabella and Stephen, and it also can happen to you. Stephen had been eagerly counting the days until he could ask Isabella to marry him. Then exactly 1 year after meeting her, he took her hands and asked with a big smile, "Isabella, will you marry me?" "Absolutely," Isabella exclaimed. "You are the kindest man that I have ever met. I know we will have a wonderful and happy marriage, and you will make a great king." When the wedding was announced, there was great joy in the kingdom. The people knew their kingdom would be successful because their future king and queen would be wise and kind. Stephen and Isabella had a very happy life together. The people in their kingdom also prospered because of the wise and kind leadership of their king and queen.
And now, an award-winning song from Character Kids.
Sometimes I look in the mirror and I don't like what I see. I wish my skin could be clearer so everyone would think that I'm pretty. My hair is not like I like it, and my nose is as big as can be, and my ears, they could stop traveling.